Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's entertainment of Colin talking about things. We're going to be talking about weight loss, so let's get on into it. For this video, note that I am not a doctor. This is just experiences I've had that I feel help you and are applicable to most people. So, let's get started. In general, the easiest way to lose weight is to eat less intelligently. Now, what I mean by eating less intelligently is not just like going cold turkey and, not eating anything. You could lose weight like that, but you'll also lose a lot of good bodily functions. And your metabolism will slow down, and you won't be able to build protein as efficiently. And by that, I mean you'll be able to build muscle efficiently. So, there's kind of a smarter way of doing it. And in general, it's anywhere from about 100 to 150 pounds per year. Somewhere along the weight range, ideally of 1 to 3 pounds of weight loss per week. That way you're not going to end up with too much of flabby skin left over as you tone down. And it is something where you can build up muscle. Your metabolism is not going to go into an incredible endocrine shock, and you are going to be a lot happier during that time, and you're going to see noticeable changes and make good habits. So let's get into the meat and potatoes. What's the first change that I would make if I weighed 300 pounds right now? Well, the first thing I would do is I would look at what I'm eating. And I'd see, okay, well, what am I eating in a day? And I would get a way of tracking that. And I'd see what I'm eating, what are my macros, what is my fat percentage, what is my protein percentage, what is my carb percentage, what are my calories, and how much fiber am I getting. And I'd see what that is, and I would track that for about a week. I'd see what I'm eating on the weekdays when I'm working and on the weekends when I'm not, because I work weeks, so that's what I do. Once I have that metric, I would realize, okay, this is what I'm eating to maintain this weight. I have to eat this to maintain. And then I would start trying to walk. I would start trying to go out on my lunch break, and I would try to do a walk around the block. And I'd do a walk around the block every afternoon that I was at work. And then I would try and do a walk around the block of my apartment complex or my home whenever I was home on the weekends. And that's what I'd start off with. And I'd do that for 1 or 2 weeks. After I got done with that, I'd be weighing myself, tracking myself, seeing how my clothes fit. You're going to notice whenever you start working out that your weight may not change a lot, but your clothes start to feel a lot baggier. And the reason for that is that muscle's a lot denser than fat. Fat's very fluffy. You'll see a 300-pound fat person, and they are going to be a lot bigger around, a lot more rotund than a 300-pound muscle person. So bear that in mind. After I've done that for a week or two, I would start increasing things. I would get a membership at Planet Fitness, or if I still didn't feel comfortable with that, I would move up my walks to 2 laps or a lap and a half around my apartment complex or my house, and a lap and a half around the block at work for my lunch hour. And I would start progressively overloading that, just little by little, and I'd pay attention to how I felt. If I felt just absolute pain, I would find something else I could do. Swimming. I'd find swimming I could do some work, and I'd start working on that. And I would swim 1 or 2 laps, and then I would just rest in the pool and maybe walk a little. And by a little, I mean no more than 5 minutes. So, down and back, rest, down and back, rest, maybe 5 minutes of just splashing around having fun. And then I'd get out of the pool, and I'd go home. And they're going to be these little changes, these little increments that moving forward. If you don't have a home gym, that's fine. You can do things like body weight squats. You can do things like wall push-ups. You can do things like assisted pull-ups, where you stand and you put one of those things over your doorway, and then you just kind of droop down with a squat, and you focus mostly on just pulling yourself up with your arms. And again, I would focus on doing a rep range somewhere in 10 to 15. 10 to 15, make them easy reps. You should feel like this is pretty easy for you. If 10 to 15 is too much, go to 5. Go to 5, but do it Monday through Friday. Do it 5 days a week. See how you feel. If that's too much, knock it down to 3. but 3 is the minimum I would ever advise. You gotta do at least 3 if you want to see any change. You gotta do at least 3. 3 should be your minimum. You should not go below 3. I would not recommend you go below that. After I've done the walks, some of the bodyweight squats have been incorporated, some of the wall push-ups have been incorporated, some of the assisted pull-ups with legs, or you can even do something where you just buy an exercise band and then you go home and you loop it around the leg of one of your chairs, or you put it over your feet. But if you put it over your feet, make sure it is not the loopy part and you're not holding the handles. Put the handles on your feet so that they slide onto your shoes. That way you're less likely to rip that off and whack yourself in the face, because that hurts really bad. So don't do that. Once I had done that, so I've got my food, I've washed it for a week. I've been doing my walks now for, say, 2 weeks, and I've started incorporating some bodyweight exercises. Say I'm down about a pound, 3 pounds, something like that. I'm like starting to feel a little better about myself. You know, once you get to the point where you can go for 3 loops around your block, and I mean a city block, 3 loops around a city block. Once you can go for 3 loops around the city block, and you can do 3 sets of either bodyweight squats, wall push-ups, and pulls of some form. Once you can do 3 sets of those in that 10 to 15 range, once you can do a walk with 3 blocks, I would encourage you to go to Planet Fitness and get a gym membership, or the local equivalent in your town, a cheap gym membership, something that is not going to cost a lot, something that is conveniently located, and something where it seems like a decent place. I will say there's a lot of gym intimidation that goes on the first time you walk in there. You're going to think everyone's looking at you. You're going to feel like everyone's calling you skinny or fat or just ugly or old or out of shape or any of the other things. They're not. Okay? They're not. So long as you are wearing clothes. Hang on one second. I swear, every time I drive by that place, there's a sewer filled back there. Just gross. So, everyone feels that. Unless you are wearing booty shorts that are up your ass and you are 300 pounds and you're 5 foot tall, and it's not a healthy 300 pounds. It's like you've got some jiggle to that wiggle. Or you're 95 years old and you're wearing a crop top that barely covers your fratatas and you're wearing a thong. No one's going to care. If you wear modest clothing and you smell nice, put on some deodorant, buy some cologne that you can spritz on your armpits and your neck. Go spritz, spritz, spritz. If it's a lighter cologne, I'm not talking about an Eau de Parfum or something along those lines. I'm talking about an EDC or an EDT, an Eau de Toilette, an Eau de Cologne, or maybe even an Eau de Parfum that is not one that has a lot of overwhelming. If you have a very powerful one, I just do 1 spritz. Call it good. You don't want to smell like you're trying to drown out all the showers you haven't taken. It's not meant to do that. It's just meant to be a pleasant kind of smell to wear while you are sweating in a space that is designed to have people sweating it. The gym is, and I cannot stress this enough, guys, the gym is a positive place. I compare it to church, and the Native Americans compare running to prayer. So looking at those two, church is a very positive place for the most part. You're going to find a lot of good people as long as you find a good church. Gym's the same way. You're going to find a lot of good people that don't really care about drama, that don't really care about who you are or where you've been or what you've done or any of that. All they care about is being able to go someplace that is open, friendly, where they can just move their body and that they can work towards their goals, and if they can help you work towards yours, awesome. Gym goers love giving advice. Make sure you look around and you actually dig around and get some advice from someone that looks like they can give decent advice. You know? It's a good place where you can build friendships. It's a place where you can build connections. It's a place where you can get a job. It's a place where you can find your future spouse. It's a place where you can go and escape the busyness and stress of life, a gym is one of the best places that you can possibly go. They're open a lot of the times 24/7, just like bars are practically. They are filled with healthy people trying to make healthy choices and that are happy to help others do so. It's going to be intimidating at first because if you're coming in there out of shape, it's like, I don't feel like I'm good enough. And let me just say this from someone who was there, who was out of shape, who was very self-conscious, who felt incredibly intimidated by the gym. You're enough. You are enough, and you are perfect. And even if you don't believe in God, His eyes, you're perfect. You are perfect because you are trying to improve. You are perfect because you are self-aware. You are perfect because you are working towards this best possible version of yourself. And I would love to have you in my gym if you ever come by. And the people out there in that gym with you feel the same way. I promise you that. You are trying to do the exact same thing they are. You're trying to achieve this higher state of who you want to be. And there is nothing about that you should ever feel ashamed about. Ever. You should feel proud of that. And if no one else says it, I'll say it. I am proud of you. I am genuinely, honest to God, proud of you. Because you are doing something that so many people don't. They put it off. They say it's too hard. No one's going to like me. I'll never be able to lose the weight. I don't have enough self-control. I was born fat. My family would think I'm weird. What if I can't eat the food you want? I guarantee you a couple of things. A, you're going to feel way better, have way more energy. You're going to be able to eat way more too. And in fact, you're going to get sick of eating. I can pretty much guarantee it. Because once you lose the weight, and you've gotten it off, like say you've stuck to this program, say that I've stuck to this program for my year and I've lost my 100 pounds and I've gradually progressed up to doing about 20-30 minutes of cardio of some form that gets my breathing harder. And what I mean by that is if you're trying to hold a conversation, this is how you're gonna sound when you're doing it, but no more. That's it. That's all you gotta do. That's the only thing that you would do for 20 to 30 minutes. That could be a walk, that could be a jog, that could be Stairmaster, that could be rowing, that could be swimming, that could be biking, that could be climbing, that could be hiking, that could be anything. Any type of cardiovascular exercise. Having that, and then having somewhere between 3 to 5 exercises of large muscle groups with that 3 to 4 sets of 10 to 15 reps. And by that 10th or 15th rep, it should be challenging. And by challenging, what I mean is you should not just be able to go, okay, I'm done. You should have to physically be like if you're on that 15th rep, like you could probably do another one, but it's going to be challenging for you to do that 15th or that 10th rep. If you get it, you're like, that was easy. I'd encourage you to go for more of the 15 rep range. And then for everything upper body, increase it by 5 to 10 pounds if you're noticing that you've hit 15 reps and things are getting easy. For lower body, you can increase it from 10 to 20 pounds. See how that feels if you're on a big compound lift, like deadlift or squats or leg press. If you're on a machine like leg extensions or leg curls or something to that effect, that's a machine that's isolating a specific muscle group, then I would recommend that you only go up by 5 to 10 pounds. But at the end of that, that's what your workouts are going to look like. As far as diet, I kind of skipped over that, didn't I? What I would recommend for diet is once you've figured out what you're eating, I would try to cut out most processed fast foods. So if you find that you eat fast food a lot, I'd recommend that you cut it down to as minimum as you can. So if you're eating 3 meals a day of fast food, I'd cut it down at first to 2 meals of fast food a day, or 1 meal of fast food a day, or just cutting it cold turkey if that's easier for you. People have a little bit different ways they work. So if you find yourself where you're like, I can't give it up, then slowly weed it out. Or have a cheat day where you can eat it. You can have your 3 meals of fast food a day. And what I would recommend that you try incorporating in its place is lean cuts of meat, specifically things like chicken, beef, turkey, fish, some fatty fish like salmon. Salmon's a very good one. I would recommend that you include some omega-3s. So looking at things like some salmon, some avocados, some eggs, some peanuts, some walnuts. If you can get them unoily, like just plain, that's even better. And unsalted, that's better. You're not going to be getting as much of the nasty fats and oils in there that are going to kind of jack up your calories a lot. As far as carbs go, I would recommend that you focus largely on fibrous, slow digesting carbohydrates, and less processed options are usually better for weight loss. So if it was me, I would do Monday through Friday of work where I eat healthy, and then Saturday and Sunday when I'm at home, I'll eat a little bit unhealthier. And an easy way of doing that, if you're the type of person that needs a plan, then Monday through Friday, say your maintenance calories was 3,000. You're eating 3,000 calories. I would recommend that you cut it down to about, what's going to be the percentage of that? Trying to do mental math, give me 1 second. Okay, got it back. Sorry, had to do some math. So if you're eating 3,000, I would recommend that you cut it somewhere between 15 to 30% down. So you'll be taking off from that total 500 to 1,000 calories a day. So you're going to be sitting somewhere between around 2,000 or 2,500, and you'll be eating volumetric foods. So things like broccoli, spinach, cucumbers, carrots, squash, pumpkin. What are a few of the other ones? You can have potatoes, but just be careful with them because they have a very high glycemic index. So I'd probably recommend keeping those to a minimum. And that goes for sweet potatoes as well. They're very good for you and things like that, but small dosages if you do opt for them. Otherwise, I'd recommend avoiding them. Brown rice or wild rice if you have to choose. It's a little bit harder to digest. Beans, specifically like black beans or kidney beans, are very good because they're very dark. They have a lot of antioxidants in them. As far as tomatoes and such go, that's fine. I'd recommend you throw in some fruit of any kind you want. You want pineapple, you want apples, you want melon, you want watermelon, muskmelon, honeydew melon, bananas, any fruit you want, any vegetable you want, throw those in. As long as you are getting underneath your 2,000 or 2,500 calorie a day goal, that's fine. And an easy way of portioning out your meals is to count out the calories and then divide them up equally into about 3 meals or 4 meals a day. Have your breakfast, have your lunch, have your dinner, and just roll through on that. Make a big batch of something, say chicken breast. Make a big batch of rice, make a big batch of, salad. Go to Costco, buy about 2 or 3 bags of salad, and then buy quite a few cucumbers. Throw a couple cucumbers in with your lunch, a couple cucumbers in with your breakfast. And I'm talking about the ones that are about 3 or 4 inches long, not the 12-inch ones. And get a lot of those non-starchy vegetables, as many as you want, even if that's pushing you over your caloric goal, as many of those as you want starting off. If you're still noticing you're not losing weight and you are over calories, and that is something you can cut back on, have some water, add a little bit of some type of electrolyte solution. If you notice you're drinking like 1.5 gallons, 2 gallons of water and you're getting brain fog, add some type of electrolyte, a little bit of salt to your food, or just throw a little in your hand and take it. You don't want to mess up your electrolyte balance. And the other big thing that I would cut out besides fast food would be sugar and alcohol. And I know that that's kind of a sin, and people are like, oh, I don't have any enjoyment. That's a lie. You're going to have so much enjoyment, you're not going to know what to do with yourself. I promise you that. As far as the alcohol thing goes, I still crave it sometimes. And, I'll have a beer on occasion, or I'll have some mead, and that's about as far as it goes, I don't really get much enjoyment from wine or whiskey or anything like that. So for me, I'm pretty lucky. I think most alcohols are pretty gross. So it wasn't that big of a swap out for me. Sugar was my big bane. I would eat a dozen donuts, half a cake, and a bag of peach rings, and I would wonder why I felt like trash. And the biggest thing I did for that was I told people I was trying to cut out on the sugar. And I told people whose opinions mattered to me, like pretty girls. And then I started doing it. And I started making those changes. I got diagnosed as pre-diabetic, and I was like, what the hell? This is insane. I work out 5 days a week. What's going on? They're like, you gotta work on stuff. And I started eating more fiber and things of that ilk. So, in summary, by the end of this, I would recommend that you have 3 to 5 exercises, 3 to 4 sets, 10 to 15 reps for your for your 2 main muscle groups, your upper body and your lower body. And that includes all the accessories, abs, lower back, glutes, quads, forearms, things like that. Includes all those. Upper body, you're obviously including abs that are upper. Lower body is obviously including abs that are lower body, like your hip flexors. And I would recommend that you just swap between doing an upper body and a lower body split for 3 to 5 days a week. And at the end of it, I would recommend that you do a 20 to 30 minute cardio session where you are having a little trouble breathing and trying to hold a conversation. As far as diet goes, I would recommend that you reduce your diet 15 to 30% down of your overall calories. Again, if you're 3,000 calories a day, dump it down to 2,500 or 2,000. See how much weight you're losing. If you're noticing that you are plateauing, then on your cheat day, which I would recommend you have at least one cheat day a week, go ahead and have 50% more calories than what you're having. So if you're having, hang on one second, it's my mom. All right, they're okay. So if you are having that kind of stall, I'd recommend you have at least one cheat day a week. And on that day, you'll have 50% more calories of whatever you want. That could be chocolate, it could be junk food, it could be anything. So if you were eating 2,000 calories a day, and that's your knockdown level, I would recommend that you bump it up by 50% of those calories. So that'd be adding 1,000. So you can have 3,000 calories on your cheat day of, food of whatever you want. But it's only 3,000 calories, and then you got to stop. And that's the technical way of doing that if you want to. The way that I did it was a little bit less technical, and I basically just ate whatever I wanted for that day and as much as I wanted. And it kind of stalled my progress. So I wouldn't recommend doing that. Once you get more of a handle on what your daily cheat days are like with that 3,000 calories, you can play around with it a little bit easier. As far as you got your cardio, you got your food. Oh, what I would recommend eating. Lean proteins, so leaner cuts of meat, chicken, beef, turkey, fish. And for your fats, I'd recommend more omega-3s, so peanuts, salmon, some walnuts, avocados, things like that. And as far as carbs go, I'd recommend that you have primarily non-starchy carbs, so things like broccoli, cucumbers, tomatoes, carrots, zucchini, squash, peppers, all that. Fruits, bananas, melons, oranges, apples, everything you want. And throwing those in there. As far as starchy ones go, obviously squash. I kind of lumped that into the non-starchy category, apologies. So squash, beans, and brown rice or wild rice would be the ones that I would recommend trying. Oh, and quinoa. Quinoa is amazing. And getting your fiber in is going to be pretty easy with black beans, pretty easy with all the vegetables, especially broccoli and especially cucumbers and especially celery. And wild rice and brown rice are going to have much more than white rice. It's also, not going to spike your insulin, which is something we're trying to avoid. and it's going to be a lot better for you in that way. And I'd recommend that you cook those either with some type of light chicken broth or with water with salt in it or something to that effect, to get a little flavor in there. Or just cook it in a pressure cooker, rice cooker with some water, and then add your seasonings like spices on top, not a whole bunch of mayo and ketchup. Things that I would watch out for, because they are going to sabotage my weight loss if I was trying to go down from 300 to 200, would be sugars, especially in condiments, fast food, and some processed food. So if you're finding that you're eating, a whole container of mac and cheese at night and you're not losing any weight, maybe try making a little healthier alternative. Say, throwing together your mac and cheese and then putting some broccoli in it and going from there. And by some broccoli, I mean, if you have an entire box of Kraft mac and cheese, throw anywhere from 1 to 2 cups of steamed broccoli in with it and see how that works for you. As far as water goes per day, I would shoot for 1 to 2 gallons. I am a 6 foot, 200-pound male. I drink about 2 gallons plus a day, and I have to take some salt supplements because otherwise I get really, really bad brain fog. Because otherwise I will start to have my salt balance go off. So listen to your body. That's a very important thing. Other things for fiber you can do is psyllium husk. Psyllium husk fiber is something you can get from Walmart. Unsweetened, unflavored, console psyllium husk fiber. Throw a tablespoon of it in with ice cold water and chug it. And I mean about 8 ounces of water, cold tap water or cold water. Immediately whisk it and drink it, because it will immediately swell up and be impossible to drink otherwise. And that is what I would do. And that's how I would drop down in a year, losing about 1 to 3 pounds a week, from 300 pounds to 200 pounds. And that's how you can too. You got this. Hope to see you in the gym. Till then, fam.